Today I'm breaking down the 2026 NFL Draft tight end class. It's a group that's got a lot of scouts buzzing and fans hyped. And I mean, if you thought the 2025 class set the bar high, you might be in for a treat, because that group was an absolute masterclass loaded with some legit blue chip talent like Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland, guys who brought versatility, athleticism, and game-changing playmaking to the pros. And in that class, we saw record-breaking performances, not just from Tyler Warren, but Harold Fannin. That class provided first rounders, depth, really redefined the position. But here's the kicker. The 2026 tight end class is shaping up to mirror that high standard set by the 2025 class. From dynamic pass catchers to versatile do-it-all threats, this group has the potential to keep the tight end renaissance rolling. So strap in as we highlight some of the top names in this class, break down their skills, and see how they stack up. We're going to be going over my top 10 in this video. Stick around until the end because I will be going over some of my honorable mentions. Don't forget to become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up and hit that notification if you want to have that nice, beautiful, sensual football discourse. But without further ado, let's get this sucker started. Of course, starting with number 10, it's RJ Maryland out of SMU. He's 6'4", 237 pounds, former 4-star recruit from the 2022 recruiting class. He participated in track and field as a sprinter, running the 100 meters in 11.33 seconds. His father, Russell, played defensive tackle for a Miami the Hurricanes. He was also first overall draft pick in the 1991 NFL draft, played 10 years in the NFL for the Cowboys, Packers, and Raiders. So he's got the pedigree, he's got the lineage. He did end up getting 6 starts his freshman year. And from there was like, hey, he's hitting the ground running. He was a full-time starter in 2023, where he was a first-team All-AAC. Again, this is prior to SMU joining the ACC. And then last year, he was probably gonna be a first or second team All-ACC, but he suffered a season-ending ACL injury 7 games into the year. Still put up 359 yards, 4 touchdowns. Some of y'all might remember that Nevada game where he had the sick game winner on the side of the end zone. I don't want to say the back. It was kind of towards the back, but he will be 22 heading into his rookie season if he declares this year. He's built like a jumbo wide receiver, but he's got legit jets. Explosive athlete who just gains more steam the further he gets down the field. Real threat up the seam. He showcased really good tempo, I think, this past year in his routes. The route run is really coming along. He eats up ground really quickly. He's able to squeeze that cushion if he is in one-on-one coverage. Great burst out of his breaks. Sees ball, gets ball. Absolutely love that. What was the contested catch rate last year? It was around 50%. So what you like to see. He can just go up and pluck it out of the air. He's got legit ball skills. I really like that about him. Displays good tracking downfield. He's got the body control to adjust to the ball while it's in air. Stays composed at the catch point. He's just a calm, cool, and collected cucumber in that regard. Now, he did line up. He lined up everywhere. He lined up in the slot, lined up wide, inline, even in the backfield as an H-back. However, not a ton of inline work. Does flash the physicality at the second level to be a blocker and really good when he's in motion, but he is on the lighter side. Does lack some play strength. Kind of worried he can't sustain those blocks. Not going to drive defenders off the line. Sometimes just gets out leveraged and uprooted. And yeah, that's going to be kind of a theme for this class. Not a lot of guys with a ton of inline work, and they might be a little, I don't want to say underweight. They're a little underweight. Let's just call it what it is. Just call it what it is. There's not a lot of variety in the route tree. He ran a lot of go routes last year. He does sink the hips well when entering breaks, but I feel like he could probably do a better job of getting down and being able to truly break on those in or out breaking routes. I feel like he should be a little more dynamic after the catch, only 4 forced missed tackles. But again, you love the ball skills of a guy like Maryland. At number 9, it's Luke Haas out of Ole Miss, coming in at 6'3", 240 pounds, former 4-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. His twin brother Dylan played defensive back with Luke at Arkansas, but he's now at Appalachian State, and Luke is now at Ole Miss. Now, again, started his career at Arkansas, was an immediate starter, started the first 5 games his freshman year before suffering a season-ending collarbone injury. And then last year, he played in all 12 games, 10 starts, decided to transfer. Now he's there with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. And there's some stuff to like about Haas. There truly is. I think he showcased some solid speed and acceleration in Arkansas's offense, which is a pretty vertical heavy passing scheme. And he's got terrific strength in just finishing catches through contact, 62.5% on contested catches over his career. Natural hands, can make catches away from his frame and will just lay out for passes. So the ball skills are there. Natural hands catcher, displays very good smoothness in his routes, and he tracks the ball pretty well downfield. The foot quickness helps him enter routes and create separation out of his breaks. And he just kind of struggled with Taylon Green just being kind of inaccurate. He was just wishy-washy in that regard. The frame does look a little maxed out, so I don't love that 6'3", 240. Don't love it exactly, at least for inline work a ton, but he has seen a ton of inline work. Doesn't do much after the catch. He can run away from defenders. That's about it. Willing blocker, but just doesn't get a lot of movement in the run game. Better utilized as probably like a big slot or a F tight end, like a tight end 2 type that's going to be off the line of scrimmage, just not necessarily directly in line. Also, little to no special teams experience. I was like, kind of interesting, but very young guy, might not necessarily come out this year. I got an early day 3 grade that's closer to like a 4th round grade right now, but when it comes to these day 3 guys, I'm just giving early, mid, or late day 3. Keep it nice and simple. Before I continue with today's video, I do gotta give a shout out to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. If you like weekly best ball or my favorite higher or lower on player stats, then check out Underdog Fantasy. You can download the app, sign up with promo code Broshmo. They match that first deposit up to $1,000 dues. Come on, we're in the thick of things when it comes to baseball season, football season. It'll be back eventually, so you can get in on some of those best ball leagues. But if you are going to sign up, you got to do it with promo code Broshmo. Let them know who sent you, and they'll get you taken care of. But they got fun promos each and every day. It's a fun way to play, but as always, please play responsibly and play within your means. Coming in at number 8, it's Terrence Carter Jr. out of Texas Tech. He's 6'2", 245 pounds, former 3-star recruit from the 2022 recruiting class. He played quarterback before converting to wide receiver in high school. He also played basketball and participated in track and field. Started his career at Louisiana. Redshirted his freshman season in 2022. 2 starts in 2023. Last year was the massive breakout for him. Started all 13 games, was a first-team All-Sun Belt, had close to 700 yards, 4 touchdowns, 18 forced missed tackles. I'm going to get into this guy's ability to break tackles because it's truly, truly impressive. But now he takes his talents over to the Red Raiders of Texas Tech. Glides down the field, man. Exceptionally good straight line speed. Impossible for linebackers to keep up with his type of acceleration. Showcased really good ball skills. 5.9% drop rate last season. He'll go up and get the football. Basically a running back with the ball in his hands, though. Has some nice wiggle, some good stop-start ability. I think I already mentioned 18 forced missed tackles last year. That's the most in this tight end class. Like, if you're going to talk about a guy that might be in that Harold Fannin Jr. type mold, I think Carter could be it. I truly, truly do. He does a great job of screwing up pursuit angles with his speed, ran by defenders in the flats, And we'll get to that route tree because it's something. I'll just say that. It's something. Cat-like balance, ends up landing on his feet all the time, whether it's going up for a pass or if he gets unearthed as a blocker, because we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna throw that out there. Blocking isn't necessarily the strongest suit of this draft class. Just saying. High effort blocker. He's gonna go downfield and try to lay out some blocks. Did a lot of work as kind of a lead man on swings and screens. He's got quite a bit of special teams experience, over close to 250 special team snaps to his name. Just kind of lacks ideal height and length for the position. 6'2", doesn't have exceptionally long arms. He is overpowered as a blocker. Like there are a few times where dude almost got flat backed, but he was able to kind of like swerve, stay on his feet, and go downfield, or at least make an effort to re-engage in the block. Just doesn't have the play strength. I just don't see him playing inline full time. I think you're gonna have to scheme him up, but thanks to that missed tackle ability, that just what he is as an athlete, he can be a deadly weapon. 52% of his receptions came in the flats. Basically, they were just dumping it down to him and being like, hey, go create. And he did. He can be a bit rounded out of his breaks, but that's kind of a nitpick. I put a 4th round grade. He's essentially one of the highest early day 3 guys that I have. Basically borderline top 100 with him, just because his tape is just really, really fun. And then at number 7, it's Oscar Delp out of Georgia. 6'5", 245 pounds. Essentially, this was the breakout that never was last year. Because there's a lot to like about Delp, and I thought he with Brock Bowers gone, that he was gonna have this big year, and it just didn't come to fruition that way. Because you had guys like Benjamin Urasek, who was coming from Stanford. You had Lawson Lucky, who had a solid year in his own right. So there were a lot of mouths to feed at that tight end position. Delp eventually got it together, but let's talk about him real quick. He's a former 4-star recruit from the 2022 recruiting class. Played lacrosse in high school, so that's fun. And he was essentially a reserve his first year. And then in 2023, this was the year he was splitting time with Brock Bowers. He did manage to get 10 starts because, I mean, Brock Bowers would start the game sometimes in the slot and whatnot. And with Bowers gone, I thought last year was going to be the year. He got 10 starts, only put up 248 yards, did have 4 touchdowns. And to be fair, a lot of that was down the stretch. He was hot down the stretch. He was pretty darn good in that regard. However, while there's a lot to like, there's a lot to work on. Because it basically felt that he just had the same year as he did in 2023. Listen, he's a phenomenal athlete for the position. He's got the speed to separate anywhere on the field. Nice burst off the line of scrimmage, really accelerates out of his breaks. Smooth hips, does a great job sinking into his breaks and cutting sharply. Can find the soft spots in zone. Works his way back to the quarterback when things go to hell or scramble drill. He's been very sure-handed over his career. 3.8% drop rate. That's phenomenal. There are a few hurdles on tape that get you excited with what he can do after the catch. Did have four forced missed tackles, which for 21 receptions is pretty darn solid. He can run away from defenders. He can hurdle them. He can go right through them. He can do a lot of different things, and he plays with a lot of grit and effort. He blocks with urgency, even when he's overmatched. He was probably the Bulldogs' most trustworthy blocker, which isn't really saying much for the tight end position, right? Because I'm not going to say Delp's like a phenomenal blocker, because he's not. There are times where he struggles to anchor in line. There's times he had struggles setting the edge. He was kind of best when put into motion or pulling, but he ended up being their most trusted blocker. When they needed someone to come in and pave the way, it was him, it was Urasek, and then it was Lucky. He did show some versatility lined up everywhere in the slot, even in the backfield. It was just kind of sad. 2024 was supposed to be the breakout year, and it was the breakout year that never was. Doesn't really try to sell routes or fake out defenders. Did incorporate a nice jab step in 2024. You saw that later down the stretch, but that's about it. Lack of play strength will show up when faced with physicality. Holds the ball kind of like a loaf of bread as a ball carrier, so there's a little concern about maybe fumbles. When it comes to the contested catch, man, just not great. I don't think he had one contested catch last season. I don't know if any of the tight ends for Georgia had a contested catch last year. Maybe Yurosek did, but yeah, not great, man. Not great. He was 0 for 5 last year. Just couldn't hold on to the ball when there were defenders around him. And listen, there's room to add mass. He can add mass, so there might be a little bit more comfortability, security, confidence. That's the word I'm looking for. Confidence with him as someone that could stick in line reliably. But another guy that I find is a fringe top 100. Maybe we get that breakout this year. Coming in at number 6, it's Tanner Koziol out of Houston. He's 6'7", 237 pounds. I gotta mention when I was talking about guys like Oscar Delp and Terrence Carter Jr., I would put Tanner in that bucket. He just ended up being the guy I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna say one of these guys could be a top 100 player, I'll go with Koziol. I'll go with him. But he ends up being a 2-star recruit from the 2022 recruiting class, played wide receiver, broke the school's single season record for receiving touchdowns, also played basketball and baseball in high school. His cousin Logan, Logan Judas was a kicker at Indiana, so that's kind of nuts. His other cousin was an All-American running back at the University of Chicago. So, hey, there's some athletes in the family. Started his career at Ball State. That's where he's been the last 3 seasons. He had 5 starts immediately as a freshman, made first team All-MAC. And then he had 10 starts in 2023, third team All-MAC. So I was like, okay. It's a bit of a step off after his freshman year, but it is what it is. 2024 comes around, started or at least played in all 12 games, had 8 starts, and then he made second team All-MAC. So he legitimately, he was a first team, second team, and a third team All-MAC player. Now he decides to transfer. I think initially he committed to Wisconsin, but he ended up re-entering the transfer portal. He lands at Houston. He'll be the new target of Connor Wegman, former Texas A&M quarterback. And I think there's a lot to like with him. He's got an exceptionally long frame. So if you want him to add weight, I think he can do that. But it's a massive catch radius. Prime 50-50 ball type of pass catcher. 26 contested catches last year. An utterly insane number, 65% on contested catches. That 26 contested catch mark led all of college football last year among pass catchers. Just natural ball skills, 4.1% drop rate last year. No problem catching away from his frame. He is a bit of a battering ram after the catch, but he does throw in the occasional hurdle. So, of course, you got to mention it. He had 11 forced missed tackles last year. So it's good burst out of his breaks. He's able to create separation. And not bad as a run blocker. Probably the best run blocker I have brought up thus far on this list. He can do it in line and in the slot. We'll see if he can do it in the Big 12. Now in the Power 4, we'll see. But good hand placement and good bend despite being that 6'7" size. He's got a long and slender build. Would love to see him add mass. Hopefully he can. Just looks more like a receiver than an actual tight end. Just okay juice after the catch. Feels like a tight end after the catch. Taller player, and in spite of the flexibility, he's going to be struggling consistently. Getting leverage, that's just kind of the tall player problem. I talk a lot about it when it comes to offensive tackles, and we talk about those like 6'7", 6'8" skyscraper builds. While they can be flexible, it's just something that they're going to consistently struggle with just because they're naturally gifted when it comes to their height. I mean, I could only imagine. I'm like 5'9" on a good day. The speed is more build up when it comes to him rather than being immediate. He can be rounded out of his breaks, but I think he's a fine enough receiver when it comes to the tight end position, and someone to keep an eye out on this class, man. Really, I think he's gonna rinse and repeat those numbers for Houston. I don't know what their receiving core looks like, but I'm curious in that Houston team who they use the transfer portal pretty well. They really did. At number 5 is Jack Entries out of Texas. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. He is going to be the Gunnar Helm of this class, the Jared Wiley type. And I mean, you'll get it once we get into it. But former 3-star recruit out of the 2022 recruiting class, played basketball and baseball in high school. And he starts his career at California as a Golden Bear, where he walked on, redshirted his freshman year, spent it with the scout team, and then became a starter in 2023. Started all 13 games. 2024, it was rinse and repeat. Had a very solid year there. Was the security blanket for Fernando Mendoza. Now he heads to Texas. And I'm not saying he's like the Gunnar Helm type just because he's going to Texas. I mean, this he's a legitimate security blanket. He's a great check down target. He's definitely a better athlete than Gunnar Helm, probably up there with Jared Wiley to some regard. But he's quick out of his stance, consistently gets leverage to give the quarterback a good window to throw in. He's got a knack for working himself open and working back to the quarterback when things go outside of structure or you're in scramble drill. Shows off good acceleration out of his breaks. And once he gets the ball, honestly, that's pretty darn solid. Great ball skills, by the way. Natural hands, 1.8% drop rate last year. Good hand-eye coordination. Attacks the catch point, 75% on contested catches. So you love to see that. Better pass blocker than he is run blocker. Better at taking on power than really imposing it. So not a guy that's going to really drive defenders. But I think you could have a little confidence in him, or at least in his ability to potentially set the edge. Very nice when it comes to like chip blocking and then leaking out and being a target. Used all over the alignment for the Golden Bears. I'm excited to see what he does for the Longhorns. The frame looks maxed out to me. I don't think he could add much more room. Maybe he could get up to like a 245. Maybe. We'll see. Didn't run much of a vertical route tree, which is kind of fine for the position. I mean, Texas, they're going to have him do those like deep crossers. So we're going to see him do it more this year. He is a modest after the catch, just when it comes to his ability, just going to lower the shoulder, typical tight end after the catch. Doesn't really have the pop or power to move defenders in the run game. Dips his head on contact. I don't love that. I just don't. And limited work on special teams. But at the end of the day, I feel like he could be he's one of the more all-around solid types. There's going to be a guy later on this list where I'm like, yeah, no, if you're looking for a potentially complete tight end, this is probably your best get. But Entries would then be that next tier after. Then at number 4, it's Max Clare out of Ohio State. He's 6'4", 236 pounds. I wish I could say that's the lightest guy I have on this list, but there's a guy I'm going to talk about in a little bit that's 1 pound less. And again, this is his current, what Ohio State is listing him on the roster page. But he's a former, 3-star recruit from the 2022 recruiting class. Played basketball in high school. He also played alongside his brother Luke, who is still a tight end at Purdue. And that's where Max started his career at Purdue. Redshirted his freshman season. He played 5 games with 4 starts in 2023 before having a season-ended ankle injury. And then last year just kind of exploded. Started all 12 games, made third team, all Big 12, had close to 700 yards receiving, 4 tutties, and now he stays in the Big 10 but he goes to Ohio State, where there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed. There's a good chance he ends up being like maybe the third or the fourth target when it comes to passing volume, but I think that'll be all right. A very dangerous athlete. The reason why he's going to be so high up on a lot of people's lists is because of what he brings as a pass catcher. Very smooth, just movement skills. Very smooth. Can generate separation at all levels of the field. He uses nice footwork in the stem to get defenders to pause, and then he just hits them with sneaky good burst. Really good route runner. Probably the best route runner on this list. I'm just going to go ahead and say it out there. Just throw that out there. Good feel for finding the soft spot in zone. Nice juice after the catch. He had 8 forced missed tackles, and that was on 51 receptions. So yeah, it's a bit much, but I mean, he's got some juice after the catch. He can run just right by you. Natural ball skills. He high points the football and just knows how to box out. Maybe that's the basketball background, but knows how to box out defenders away from the catch point. Willing blocker, but his best blocking did come from the slot. So he might be used a lot as maybe a big slot there at Ohio State. Doesn't have an ideal frame. He was listed at Purdue at like 240. Now he's listed 4 pounds less. I hope that's not the case, but kind of is what it is. Relies a little bit too much on athleticism when running his routes. He does have some drops in traffic, which aren't pretty. 8.9% drop rate last season, so that is high. But you do see the ball skills, and going into his tape, I don't want to really call it focus drops because I don't think that was the case. It's just when he gets around traffic, sometimes the ball, he just doesn't come down with it. Does need to develop more as a run blocker, lacks the leg drive to move defenders, really just holds on for dear life, and that's about it. Limited special teams work, kind of is what it is, but Claire, he's this high because of just what he can do as a pass catcher. And now we get to number 3, and we're talking about potentially some legit top 50 prospects when it comes to this tight end class, and this one is Joe Royer out of Cincinnati, 6'5", 255 pounds. So easily the biggest tight end we have on this list. And this was the guy I was referencing when I was like, okay, if you're looking for a guy with a potential all-around game, then Royer could be your guy. He's a former 4-star recruit from the 2020 recruiting class. So he's going to be up there in age. I don't have a specific age on him, but I imagine he's going to be up there in age. He started his career at Ohio State. So, hey, there's a pedigree. He was a highly sought out recruit. He redshirted his freshman year, and then in 2021, he was basically just a special teamer. In 2022, things kind of got off the rails for him. He only played in 5 games. He missed much of the season because his mother tragically passed away, and that's just a sucky situation and something tough to deal with. He ended up playing in 4 games in 2023, and that's when he decided, okay, well, I guess I'm going to transfer. You know, I still got technically an extra year of eligibility because of the 2020 Rona season. So he is going to be a 6-year senior, but he goes to Cincinnati last year. And it's an utter breakout season. 522 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. First team all Big 12. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, maybe he's a late bloomer, but that's A-okay. Traditional tight end size. You love to see it. Athletic big man who can catch in stride and create after the catch. He had 10 forced missed tackles, so good number there. Secures catches in traffic and can withstand crushing hits. 53.8% on contested catches this past season. He's got very dependable hands, 3.8% drop rate. Last year, he can adjust his body to off-target throws and make some really good catches away from his frame. He does a good job of finding space and being able, just being available to the quarterback, and he can be that security blanket. Sneaky burst out of his breaks. Pretty good athlete. Runs angry, can run through guys, run through arm tackles, no problem. A good lead blocker at the second level. Many of his out routes were designed as, you know, you're just going to be the lead man on this guy that's coming, that's going to get the screen or get the swing. So he was a dependable lead blocker in that regard. Very, very good at the chip and leak. And while he never broke out at Ohio State, which, I mean, I don't know how damning that truly can be, but at least he was recruited there, and you know that the talent is there just based on what we saw last year at Cincinnati. You know that it's there. He's coming off a breakout season, but he didn't record over 100 yards in any one game. You kind of maybe want to see that, but is what it is. He can be a bit rounded out of his breaks, but he makes up for it with really good acceleration. He's hard to bring down after the catch. That's about it. Not very dynamic. Don't necessarily have to be at the tight end position. Inconsistent hand placement and leverage did cost him as a run blocker, but he could definitely shore that up. Last year, first full year as a starter. Let's see what it looks like this season. I have some faith just based on his build that he could be in talks as tight end 1 in this class. We're just going to have to wait and see. At number 2, it's Eli Stowers out of Vandy. He's 6'4", 235 pounds, so technically the lightest tight end on this list. But I think he could get up to that 240. I don't know how much more mass he could put on after that. I got some doubts about it, but this is a former quarterback, guys. And I initially was going to have him lower, but he's younger than I thought. Like he will be 23 to start his rookie year, but I thought he'd be closer to that 23 or 24, 25. But yeah, younger than I anticipated. I don't know why I thought he was like the same age as Diego Pavia, but Eli Stowers, former four-star recruit from the 2021 recruiting class, participated in track and field as a high jumper, long jumper, and ran in relays. He won the 2019 Texas 6A High School State Championship. Love to see it. Started his career as a quarterback at Texas A&M. So, hello at A&M. He was basically a reserve his first year. Redshirted his sophomore year, decided to transfer. He wanted to get some playing time. However, he transfers to New Mexico State, where he lost the starting quarterback job to Diego Pavia. And it was at this point he started to make the transition to tight end. But he also served as their Wildcat quarterback. He played in 14 games with 4 starts. And he decided to follow not only Diego Pavia, but his offensive coordinator, Tim Beck, I believe, to Vandy. So they take their talents to Vandy, and Vandy has a magical season last year. He started in all 13 games, or he played in all 13 games with 5 starts. He was a first-team All-SEC, 644 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, 13 forced missed tackles. I mean, let's just get into what he brings to the table as a prospect, because he might be one of the guys that I wrote the most about when going back to his tape. He was someone that I evaluated last year for the 2025 class. Thought he might come out then. He returns. I do go back and I watch a few games just to kind of like, okay, now I recall after this last draft cycle, I recall what I liked, what I didn't like about him. But he's a very explosive athlete who can be a factor up the seams, possibly even downfield. Legit speed, can create separation with suddenness out of his breaks. He's pretty twitched up. Goes from pass catcher to ball carrier almost immediately. He's got surprisingly good wiggle for the position. Again, 13 forced missed tackles this past season. Can speed by defenders as well. He can power through them. He's got good contact balance. And he offers a solid catch radius. Like, there's some, I don't think he's got like the longest arms, but at least he presents himself as a big target. And he's able to kind of shield defenders away from the catch point. Reliable hands, only 2 drops the last 2 seasons. He's a former state champion in the high jump, so that shows up at the catch point. Hello, he'll go up and go get it. Shows good body control. He's able to adjust his body in mid-air and land on his feet like a cat-like balance. Former quarterback, so he's got a nice feel for coverage and when to sit on routes, and when it comes to the timing of routes, like, okay, I need to be here at this point in the play. He's just got that dog in him. Very greedy player. Will leave it all on the field. There's a lot to like about him. He is a bit light in the pants, doesn't necessarily have the play strength to consistently be a inline blocker specifically. Often loses the leverage game in line and allows defenders just to drive him back. Primarily played in the slot the last 2 years, so very limited inline work. Last year for Vandy, he was in the slot 72% of the time. That's a lot, hell of a lot. He will run routes as they look on the play sheet, so wouldn't mind a little bit more creativity as a route runner, but he is a former quarterback. Remember, he's going into year 3 as a tight end, as a actual pass catcher. So I'm not too worried about that. There's, again, no deception in his routes, but again, I think he's going to learn some of that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him kind of expand on that this season. He's a great athlete who should get more separation than he does, and I think it just comes down to a little more experience as a route runner. Little to no special teams experience. He's a former quarterback, so no doubt he wasn't playing on special teams, but even when he made the transition, only 4 special team snaps to his name. So, wah. I got a second round grade on him. It's fringe top 50. I think there's enough there that kind of makes me like, is this a top 50 guy? Is he maybe more a midday 2 actual third rounder? So I settled on a second round grade, something outside of the top 50. I'll kind of see where he lands when I actually construct my big board. And then at number 1, and I knew he was going to be number 1. You can go back to my 2 early mock drafts. I was already talking about this guy. He's got some fun plays out there. It's Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. He's 6'3", 245 pounds, former 4-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. By far, probably one of the youngest prospects that's among this class, but I don't have an exact age on him. I will say that. Played wide receiver, tight end, linebacker, and returner in high school. Also played basketball and participated in track and field. And basically, he was a special teamer last year for Oregon, or excuse me, his freshman year. Last year, again, more special teamer than someone that was actually on the field, but he got more snaps behind Terrence Ferguson. And he showed out. Maybe only had 25 receptions, but golly, they were a very impressive 25 receptions. I'm just going to put that out there. He is an exceptionally explosive athlete. Goes from 0 to 60 instantly. The vertical potential is truly there. It just wasn't utilized a ton last year, and we'll get into that. He's a former wide receiver. He moves like it. Great after the catch. Looks like a natural ball carrier. 10 forced missed tackles, and that was only on 25 receptions. I'm sure I'm going to bring up the hurdles eventually, but he's got a couple of sick hurdles. He speeds up quickly. He's got some wiggle, and he's got a couple of very impressive hurdles. He just does. Very soft hands, 3.8% drop rate last year, but didn't really have to make too many difficult catches last year. So with the expanded role this season, that's going to be something to monitor. Really good move and lead blocker. Gets to the second level with just really bad intentions. I think that kind of like, I think that's a little bit of his special teams experience, because he's by far maybe has the most special teams experience in this class. Outside of like Josh Huevez out of Alabama, who's been in college football what feels like forever. But he's got 439 special team snaps to his name. Very experienced in that regard. And I think he brings that. He's got that dog in him. He'll play to and through the whistle. He lined up everywhere for Oregon. He had 155 snaps in line. He had 124 snaps in the slot, 45 out wide, and 14 in the backfield. And I want y'all, like, think about this. He's only has 2 seasons at Oregon. 439 special team snaps. That's insane. That's a ludicrous number. Currently, he is a little undersized and doesn't feel like there's much more he could add to his frame, but he's also stupid young. So I don't think I'm worried about that. The current size limits his ability as a blocker right now. It just does, at least as an inline blocker. 52% of his receptions were screens. it was get the ball in his hands and let him make plays. He's going to have an expanded role this year, so I'm pretty excited. Would like to see the route tree expand now that he's full-time starter. We'll see. But in terms of potential, I think he's got some of the best potential in this class, which is why he's my number one, why he has a top 50 grade, and why a lot of people should be excited about him. But let's talk about some of my honorable mentions. I feel like I got to start with Justin Jolly out of NC State. I have kind of a mid-day 3 grade on him. A lot of people would probably pick him as potential Harold Fannin Jr. of this class. I ended up going with Terrence Carter out of Texas Tech. But with Justin Joly, it's just he plays so much in the slot. Like 62% of his snaps came in the slot. He's not a serious player in line. He's just not. Defenders drive him back on contact. He doesn't have sand in the pants to anchor down. It's specifically just what he does as a wide receiver, because the straight line speed is insane. Very nice footwork. And he was 237, I believe, last year. He's reported to be 251. How that translates will be interesting. So he will be a guy to watch. He just missed my list at number 11. Another guy that was kind of in the just missed the list category was Daquan Wright out of Ole Miss. He's listed at what? 6'4", 255. He looks smaller than that. He looks lighter. He just does. He tries to survive as a blocker, but that's about it. It's really what he does is what he brings to the table is what he is as a pass catcher, because he's a very fluid and loose athlete. 70% of his receptions went for first downs last year. Showed some wiggle after the catch. I believe that number is 7 forced missed tackles last year. But the ball skills are kind of wishy-washy. He has battle drop issues. He had 8 drops during his time at Virginia Tech. They weren't that apparent last year. It was a 6.9% drop rate, so much better. I want to see that continue to be the case. If you're looking for a blocking tight end in this class, your guy is probably going to be Miles Kitzelman. I think I said that right, out of Tennessee. Straight up, he's just the blocking tight end of the bunch. He's 6'5", 255, former Alabama player. Prior to that, he was a Hutchinson Community College guy. But yeah, no, I mean, this dude was used. He was most frequently either used in line or in the backfield as a fullback, just as a blocker. He didn't really produce much in the receiving game until last year. And if we're going to be generous, he was wide open on a lot of it. Like, the defense just forgot to cover him. It's not like he's got crazy good speed or anything like that. But that's your blocking tight end from this class. I do want to shout out maybe Michael Trigg out of Baylor, because he put up some good tape last year, and I'm just going to say it, about time. This was a guy we were talking about at USC. Oh, this is Jackson Dart's running mate. Now that they're moving to Ole Miss, and things never worked out there. He had the broken collarbone his first year at Ole Miss. And then in 2023, he ended up being benched for disciplinary reasons. He was unsatisfied with his role in the offense. It just wasn't a very good looking departure from Ole Miss. He goes to Baylor, where he was suspended for a game for disciplinary concerns. Still ended up making second team all Big 12 and kind of had a breakout year. It's just you worry about the potential character concerns. It didn't work out at 2 other Power 4 programs. This is a late breakout for him, but his tape was pretty good last year. It really was. I do want to give a shout out to some of these guys that I have to be decided grades on. With Lawson Lucky, there's some stuff to like about Lawson Lucky. There really is. I think he's got the potential of being a really good pass catcher. Another guy that struggled when it came to making catches in traffic. 0 for 7 on contested catches last year. And I think the technique and the want to be a blocker's there. The play strength just isn't at this point. So let's see how it looks this season. You got Amari Nyblack, who was formerly of Texas. He's now at Texas A&M. A tremendous athlete. Let's see if he could put it together. Just things didn't quite work out last year. He was slowed by an ankle injury and just and Gunnar Helm ended up being the guy. So I am curious. A few guys that I didn't get to yet, and I want to mention this because Alex talked to me about him, but just for him right now, the production's not there. Eli Raridan out of Notre Dame. I get it. Yeah, they had Mitchell Evans there last year, but this dude had 90 receiving yards last year. I don't think there was much that I could take away from his tape if I were to go watch it, but now I'm kind of tempted because Alex sounds really high on him. So now I'm tempted to go back and look at his tape, but he also had like an 8% drop rate last year. So I'm like, okay, I guess we'll watch. I guess I might watch him just before the season. Because again, I kind of had, this is my first slate of summer watch along, summer deep dive. I do have a second slate after I get through all the positions. I go back to guys I was like, okay, these are guys maybe I wanted to get to or that I've heard good things about. Let's get to them before we get into the season. But I wanted to mention him. I might as well throw out Josh Huevos out of Alabama. He was formerly a Cal Poly in 2021, goes to Washington in 2023, follows Kalen DeBoer. There's really not much to talk about here. Production's been all right with him, but a lot of special teams experience. I do want to maybe throw out one more name. I really do. The question is Jack Velen? Not really. He's like fine. Let's go with Sadeo. I think it's Seydou Traore. I think I nailed it. Out of Mississippi State. He's 6'4", 235. Started his career at Arkansas State. Had a banger 2022 season. Was a first team All Sun Belt. Transfers, goes to Mississippi State in 2023, but he ends up not being eligible to play because of NCAA transfer rules. Because that's stupid, is what it is. So last year was the first time we got a look at him in the Bulldog offense. Wasn't a great year for the Bulldogs, but I thought Traore had some promise. I really do. He ended up going for 600 or 360 receiving yards. There were 4 forced missed tackles. I know that there's missed tackle ability there. You just go to his Arkansas tape. But he is a guy that, I mean, it was kind of wild because he played probably the most in line of his career, but it's not saying much. But he's a name I wanted to throw out there as potential, hey, watch out for this dude. But there's your tight end class. That's a good early look at some of the prospects. There's some other names that I'm hoping maybe to get to. Benjamin Brahmer out of Iowa State is probably going to be the first guy I come back to when it comes to this tight end class, and then maybe Eli Raridan. I don't know if I've sold myself on watching his tape yet, but go ahead. Let me know who are some of your favorite tight ends in this class as we approach the college football season. I am halfway through offensive tackles right now at this point, so be on the look for that video maybe coming up probably next week. We will be starting the deep dive series pretty soon here. I'm going to have guests on for each and every one of those episodes. So it's not just me giving you my opinion on a given NFL team, but I'm actually going to get someone who is very entrenched in the fan base and familiar with the squad. So you're going to get multiple opinions there, and it's going to be a good look. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm excited. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.